and welcome back to the very second episode of The Youth Talks with Vruddhi Doshi. First of all, thank you so much for so much love and support that you all showed to us on the very first video of The Youth Talks with CA All India Rank 37 Miss Kirti Sangvi. अगर तुम लोगों ने वो वीडियो अभी तक नहीं देखा है तो जल्दी से जाके वो वीडियो देख लो. The link is there in the description below. Now today on a very similar line we have with us our second guest speaker of this show, none other than India's leading sensation, Miss Avanti Nagral. To all of y'all who already know her, I know a lot of y'all already know her because I got so many messages flooding that, ma'am, I already know her, ma'am, I follow her on Instagram, YouTube, ma'am, I love her content, ma'am, we are such a fan, we're such a big fan of hers. That is what I got messages on my WhatsApp. To all of y'all, she's the same Avanti Nagral. And to everybody who does not know her, let me tell you all, Miss Avanti Nagral, or Avanti in fact, is a leading sensation of India. She is a content creator, one of the most well-known content creators as of now. She is also somebody who has got a dual degree from two best universities in the world, Harvard University and Berklee Institute of Music. She has also performed at various TEDx conferences and United Nations conferences. Apart from that, she has also performed in various countries such as India, USA and a lot of Southeast Asia countries as well. So presenting to you a very insightful conversation on how Miss Avanti not only just followed and not only did what she loved, but she also cracked Harvard examinations and she was the first person to get a dual degree from two best countries in the world. You aspire to do something really different just like how Miss Avanti did, this video is for you. So presenting to you Miss Avanti Nagral on The Youth Talks with Vruddhi Doshi. Stay till the end.
At this current moment, I am a professional artist and content creator full-time. What that means is, I am working on releasing, creating, etc., original music and many other things in the musical field. I also create content around education, self-improvement, conversations about, things like mental health and sexual health. And, by virtue of doing both of those things, you also have to be very adept at business. And I'm also running a couple of business ventures. I have a production company. So essentially, I guess my lifestyle right now is one of trying to use my voice in its multiple ways as a singer, as somebody with a platform, and to share my stories and the stories of other people, however that looks.
So how did you start your entire journey? Let's go to a flashback to when you were in your 10th standard. Were you like a very brilliant student or were you the notorious one?
As much as I wish I could be like I was the notorious one, I was definitely, got really good grades girl. But I feel really lucky that in addition to me prioritizing academics, I went to an IGCSE school. I was fortunate enough to be exposed to a lot of stuff at an early age. And so I did a lot of stuff outside of just academics, throughout my life. And music was a huge part of that. I used to train in Hindustani classical music. And in school, I would take any and every opportunity to do anything musical, right? So inter-school competitions, singing at like all of these random holidays, festivals, annual days, blah, blah, blah. And in addition to that, I think the other thing I really cared about was communication. So I would do I learned how to put myself out there. So yeah, in the 10th, I would say that. I think a lot of students, when they're in the 10th standard, they feel like this is my board year, so mujhe, is pe focus karna padega and everything else goes out of the window. But at the end of the day, yes, you are a student and yes, the boards matter, but they are not the only thing that defines your life.
Exactly.
So and I found that a lot of my peers who also were doing things that they cared about outside of just studying often did better on the exams because they weren't just stressed about the marks all the time. They had outlets, and they had other ways to release.
So even when you were in your 10th standard, you were exploring different things. You were not just, I just don't want to do one particular thing. You were exploring different options and finding your passion. Or did you already know that you wanted to pursue in music from that very moment?
I always knew that music was going to be a big part of my life, but I didn't think I would do it professionally until I was about 17 or 18, because until my 12th standard and right after, which I can share about, I for the longest time thought I would be either a doctor or something in the global health field. All my grandparents are doctors, just grew up around that, and personally, I've also had a lot of health issues in my life, including in the 10th standard, right before my pre-boards, my prelims. I basically had this brain virus that affected my optic nerve, and I lost vision in my left eye for a short while. And it was really hard because, at that time, I felt like my brain was fuzzy and I couldn't remember a lot. And so I think, in a way it was a good thing because maybe it put things in perspective, and I didn't think that the boards and pre-boards were the be all and end all. And I actually ended up, topping them in my school, which just goes to show that.
Really?
Yeah, which I mean, I'm not trying to be like, oh, blah, 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 but it just goes to show that.
Exactly, absolutely. I mean, you were in such a critical condition and you almost lost your eyesight, and you still were one of the toppers. I'm sure that would show, it would be really very visible that no matter what the circumstances are, if you work hard, you're definitely going to be at the top, and you're like a life example of it, honestly.
Thank you. And I mean, I think it is important to strive for excellence and to reach your potential, but that doesn't mean that everybody is going to be a topper in a specific subject or in, even in an academic sense. Like, it is really important, but at the end of the day, if you're thinking about life in the grand scheme of things, the difference between somebody who comes first and 10th is not that big, at the end of the day. I find too many students resting their identity on the marks, and that scares me. As somebody today who's a content creator, and I care about numbers, but if I let the numbers get to me, I will go insane. Absolutely. I have to care about that impact.
And to all my dear learners, I'm your educator. I've been telling you this all the time. I'm your teacher. I've been telling you this all the time. But now we have a Harvard graduate with us who's actually telling you that is not the end of the world. Your 10th standard is not the end of the world. So if y'all don't listen to me, you can at least listen to Miss Avanti. So after your 10th standard, what did you pursue? Did you go into science, commerce, or arts, or how did you go about it?
So I did science, but instead of physics, I took psychology. So essentially I did PCMB and English, but the P stood for psychology. And I really enjoyed it because I like I said, I thought I wanted to do something in global health, and because of, my personal reasons, and I felt that a healthy population is a productive population. Like, health is, if nothing else we've learned during COVID, we know that health. Absolutely. But I think after my 12th, I'd taken a gap year, and I've spoken about this on my channel. There's two types of gap years. One you can take where you take time off and then you apply to college. And then there's another one where you have already gotten into college, but then you defer your admission. So I did the second kind. And I did it for two reasons. One is music had always been so important to me, but I never got the opportunity to do it full time or try to explore what that might be professionally. And I knew I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't. So that was one reason. And the other reason, to be very honest with you, Ms. Vruddhi, I felt a little burnt out after school, and it can be hard, right? Because you're always going and you're on that rat race, constantly going, and sometimes you need a little bit of a break from institutions,
Right. So you took a break after your 10th standard, and after your 12th standard. Okay, after your 12th standard, you took a break. So when did you exactly have the idea that you wanted to pursue from Harvard? Harvard is like the best institute of the world. So when did you actually start planning your Harvard or your entrance exams for Harvard?
Yeah, no, great question. So most students apply in the fall. In India, we don't really have that concept. So that's basically between November and January of your 12th standard. So this is before your boards. Your board exams actually don't matter for US admissions as much. I mean, if you do really badly, they will find out, but those marks are not, the be all and end all, right? Those one exams don't determine how you get in. Instead, to the US, it's a more holistic application. And I would encourage that when when students are thinking about it, if they're thinking of applying to the US or anywhere abroad in different countries, I can just quickly touch upon, think about it as an opportunity. And when you think of opportunities, you do your best to understand what they are. So therefore that includes a lot of research, right? It's not something you can do last minute, especially because they don't just care about one mark. They actually care about all your marks from standard 9 through 12, every single one of them. They care about things that you do in school and outside of school, your extracurriculars. They care about recommendations. Have you built good relationships with teachers, people who've seen you in professional capacities? You have to write a whole personal essay. So it's a lot, and it takes quite a long time to prepare that. I would say I started researching things in the 10th and 11th standard and kind of thinking of how to prepare. The actual starting the application process, I started in August of the year I was applying. And you send them in either November or January if you're doing early or what they call regular. And yeah, that's basically the process. And I'm happy to go in more detail if that's useful.
Absolutely. So after your 12th, you applied to the university. Did you just apply to Harvard or did you apply to multiple universities?
So I had a whole list of 12 universities. I was very sure I wanted to go to the US because I'm originally from there also. I was born there, lived there till I was 9. And what I wanted to do was this combination of global health and psychology and some music. And I figured I couldn't get that interdisciplinary, education in India at 5 years ago. That was not possible, and even in some other countries. So, you apply during your 12th standard basically. And I had a whole list of colleges. And when you think of colleges, you have two approaches. One, you can say either I apply to just the top colleges abroad, and then if I don't get in, then I'll look at options in India or elsewhere. Or you can create a tiered list, which is what I did and what a lot of students do, which is you have some colleges that are out of reach for everybody. Harvard is out of reach for everybody. You get in, there's it's awesome, but it's also a lot of luck and a lot of other factors, Then you have colleges that are a little bit more what we call target universities, where the profile of students who've gotten in terms of their marks and other things are typically like yours, and so those are some target. And then what we like to call safety schools, essentially, which is where you are above average or much higher in terms of your marks and overall profile than the average student that gets in, so that you have a mix, because at the end of the day, you never know where you'll get it, But in my case, I applied early. There's this thing where you can apply early to one university and then regular to everything. And I got into Harvard early. So I actually decided to what we call rescind my applications, take them all away, only because I knew I was very clear I was going to Harvard, and I didn't want to just apply for the sake of it, to show, I've gotten into so many colleges.
Into Howard, why would you want any other university?
I was very clear because of music, and I know we'll touch upon that. I was already performing professionally before. There's a lot of universities that now have these programs that are dual degree or dual major types of programs, where there's two institutions that come together to offer a joint program. So in my case, Harvard University and the Berklee College of Music had just come together to offer this joint program where you could study music at Berklee, but you do your regular stuff at Harvard. So that was really appealing to me, and they offered that in my first year at Harvard. So just knowing that there's all of these opportunities and being very clear about why you want to go to an institution.
Right. All these things that came in your way, all these opportunities that came, it must have been so overwhelming at that point of time, was it?
Definitely. I was a very stressed person in my 12th standard applying to colleges. And part of it is because
you deal with it. If you were as you said that you were in one of the best colleges or one of the best universities of the world, how did you actually deal with it? How did you?
I think it just helps to think about things as with an analogy, right? So for me, if you think about when you're in school is like a fixed price menu. You have to take certain subjects, even if you can choose your stream in the 11th and 12th, it's still standard things that are fixed. And these are the opportunities in school, this is what I can try. Whereas when you go to college, particularly abroad, but even in India, there's so many things going on, you cannot have everything. So I like to call that all-you-can-eat buffet. At a buffet, no matter how much you try, you cannot have everything. You'll get sick, right?
Yeah.
You have to think about, and a lot of it, when you go to a buffet, most people usually take a round first, right? And then they choose, okay, I want this from here, this from there, instead of just going there and just dumping everything on their plate. This extended food metaphor essentially just means that when you are presented with opportunities, do your research. Look at what all the possibilities are. Look in places that other people aren't looking, because you never know, you'll find stuff that is really meaningful to you. You know, don't just do something because all my friends are doing this, I'm going to do it. Or it looks good on their resume, so I'm going to do it, because that may not be the right opportunity for you.
Absolutely.
It's about finding what works for you and what's most meaningful. So, you know, it's not letting all of these opportunities overwhelm you, but rather say, hold on, how can I understand what these are? How do I look at what aligns with me, my goals and my values, and what I want to learn? Especially in college, learning is not just in the classroom. Learning is in so many different ways. You learn from your peers, you of course learn from your professors, but you learn from experiences. And it's about making all of that count.
It's so sweet. I really like how you were an 18-year-old child at that point of time. You just passed it, but you had such a good it was such an insightful conversation. I mean, this part as well. I mean, you were just 18-year-old. When I was 18-year-old, I know for a fact that I was still wondering which stream do I want to take. And you already had so many things figured out. I'm sure your parents and your family must have played a major role in this. Is that so?
Definitely. My parents were very supportive of what I wanted to do. In fact, you know, when I took the year off, it was a little bit hard because they didn't understand it at first. But I explained to them that that was the only time in my life I was going to be responsibility free, right? When you're 17, 18, you don't really have many responsibilities beyond doing chores at home and helping out, right? You're not responsible for another human being. There's many things. You don't have to immediately start earning unless your family needs it. So I think that was really important for me to look at. And in terms of, you know, this quote unquote untraditional path that I've gone down, right, with content, with music, it's very unstable. You know, if you keep building, there are opportunities, but there's a lot of times where you feel like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it worth it? Is anybody going to care? Is it going to have impact? And in that time, it's really important to have a strong support system. And I feel really lucky that my parents have been that for me and were that, and my younger brother. They, you know, definitely have had their, as it goes with most Indian parents, their concerns, you know, because at the end of the day, parents really want for us to feel happy, stable, and secure, which is why many of them push us to take these traditional career paths, because unko lagta hai that if you become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or whatever, you are guaranteed to make a certain amount of money, right? And for them, they're like security, stability. But what they need to realize is today, new jobs are being created every single day. And it's so much more meaningful for us, particularly our Gen Z generation, to not chase after a job that we love, but to chase after a life that we want to live. And the job becomes only one part of that.
Absolutely. So doing what you love is actually what is going to get you through everything. Absolutely. When, okay, so you took a break after your 12th standard. Which all examinations did you give to apply to a foreign university, and how did you prepare for it?
Great question. So the couple examinations that they take into account, first, most importantly, are your school exams. All your grades from class 9 to 12, they care about all of them. Second is either the SAT or they are both standardized tests. And the reason that they require you to take them is because it's the only measure that can, you know, kind of show across school boards and international systems something that they have as general aptitude. So I took the SAT because I preferred it. Usually I would suggest that people who are a little bit better at English should take the SAT because that's more suited to that. And the ACT is a little bit more suited to people who are a little better at STEM. But that's the only difference. I would suggest taking the diagnostic test off the internet and see which one you like better, and then suggesting that. And then the third one, which I actually didn't have to do, but most students have to, is the TOEFL or the IELTS. Those are English as a foreign language exams. The reason I didn't have to do them is because I was taking AP English at the time as well, and because I'm a US citizen. They require you to take it if you're an international citizen. Your citizenship actually doesn't matter when you apply abroad. What matters is where you go to high school. So they consider you as a student. Let's say I went to high school in Morocco for some reason. They would consider me an applicant from Morocco, even if I'm from India. So that's kind of where that matters.
So how many hours did you actually give to your entrance examination? How did you prepare for it? Do you have a timetable or anything, or you were just doing it all over?
No, I think it is important to have a timetable and to take a chunk out. Unlike your boards and other exams, it doesn't fit into your school year. So you have to be really self-directed into how to prepare for these exams. And, I took it, for example, in May. And I said from Jan onwards, I'm going to prepare, right? Or from December onwards, I'm going to prepare. But what does preparation mean? Looking at the subject material, covering that only took me a few weeks because a lot of it was what we did in school already. But what is most important when taking any exam is understanding how the exam itself functions. What I mean by that is doing as many practice tests as possible so that you understand the format, you are comfortable. Even if you know the material, it's not a joke to sit for 3 hours at an end, right? And do an exam. There's so many other external factors that can affect us. So I would say, whichever ones, just take those chunks out, practice with those conditions, and you will definitely ace it. There are books that help, for the SAT, or I would recommend things like Barron, Kaplan's, Black. But the other thing I will say is when you apply abroad, these exams matter, but it's not just the entrance exam. It's not like the JEE or the NEET where you take the exam and that score is what gets you into the college. All the other things are equally important. So make sure you're spending time on doing things outside of school and building that. Make sure you work on your essay, you work on all of these other things.
So you talked about practice tests. What practice tests are you talking about? Are they the special classes practice tests, or are they the practice tests that the SAT portal or any such site that gives it to you? What are these practice tests exactly?
Great question. So College Board is the board that administers the SAT, and ACT has a different one. So they have some practice tests. They have, I think, 10 practice tests online, which you can download and take. But there's many other websites that offer them. Unacademy offers a few. There are, of course, websites and books, whether that's the Barron, the Kaplan. It's just trying to find as many exams. I did this for all my exams in life. For my board exams, for example, not only did I just look at my past year's papers, I took past year's papers from 10 schools in Bombay and solved those. I downloaded, off of the internet, different things. There are, of course, coaching classes, but my recommendation would be, rather than going for coaching classes, you doing your own self-preparation. Similar to how Unacademy has, modules for different types of exams and tests and learning. It's finding those and really just working on it and directing your study.
Absolutely. Moving a little fast forward to your time at Harvard. Would you like to share your experience with us? How was your experience at Harvard?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was really incredible. The teachers there are amazing. The peers there are amazing. But more than that, at the end of the day, no matter where you go to college, it's what you make of it, right? And it's how you design your experience. So it was finding out and seeking out opportunities that other people didn't necessarily know about. It was working on projects, networking, making genuine friends that I think was the biggest and most important part of it. Because in college, unlike school, it's the only time in your life that you are surrounded by peers that are very different from you. Everybody's studying different things. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds. I mean, at Harvard, people were from different countries, different socioeconomic classes. But even in India, when you go to any college, you're not just going to college with the people in your neighborhood. There's people from all over India. There's people who've come from very different backgrounds than you might have, right? And so it's just about, I find that people forget that a lot of college is the friends you make and the peers that you're surrounded by. So it's all of those things together.
Yeah, I had another question for you. The question is that, you mentioned about the school that you went to as well. So in your 11th and 12th, you're focusing so much on your college experiences. Is it important for you to go for a good college, for example, say like a specific board, example ISC board or say CBSE board, or even say a normal college? Is there any particular criteria that you must keep in mind?
I personally think if you're applying abroad, the board really doesn't matter. What matters is how well you do in that board. So because I done ICSE, I was I felt like ISC was an easy choice afterward. And, my school went till the 12th, so I didn't have to go to junior college. And so for me, I think that was a great option. For some people, they may not be as well suited to that. So maybe IB is a little bit better for them or something else. But whatever it is, you should be comfortable with it and do well in it. That's what matters most. It doesn't, honestly, IB does not give you more of an advantage than CBSE, than ISC, than anything. It's really what you make of it, because you have to remember, when you're applying abroad, there's people coming from all over the world. So at the end of the day, everybody does well and they, are able to get in, and there's equal playing field. So honestly, it doesn't matter.
So at the end of the day, your the board does not matter how you do in it, how active you are in all the curriculum, all the activities, and all these things matter, right? According to you.
Exactly.
So how
exactly.
can you actually incorporate all of these things during the pandemic now? Right now, there are no activities and all going on. So what would you suggest right now? What should the students do?
Firstly, I'm so sorry that all of you have to do online school for so many, months, almost a couple of years at this point. My heart goes out to you. The thing that colleges care about is not just the number of activities you do, or frankly, even the type of activities that you do. What they care about is, what are you passionate about and how have you taken it to the next level with the resources available to you? So everybody's aware that you are in a global pandemic right now, right? And you cannot, for example, let's say play basketball. But what else do you like about basketball? Let's say you're super passionate about it. What do you like about it beyond playing? Do you like the sport? Do you like how it brings people together? Is there something that you can do to organize during this pandemic, even virtually? It can be anything. You may love cooking, you may love music, you may love science, you may love whatever it is. How are you taking it to the next level, right? A lot of people, especially if they're interested in creative things, they think that it's just enough to say, I dance, and therefore you should take it. But it's not just about dance. How have you used dance to make impact? With dance, are you just dancing in your bedroom, or are you doing stuff, outside of that? Are you in the middle of a pandemic? You can't exactly perform, but are you making videos?
Why don't you tell me one of your best experiences of Harvard? Like, I know for a fact that there's something that happened in Harvard that actually changed your life. So maybe revolve around that in some a moment that you'll never forget.
I think there's so many of them. Let me talk about two which are slightly different from each other. One is in the classroom. So I took a class on essentially negotiation. It was both interpersonal and international negotiation. It was amazing. And we were doing this case study about two countries, a few years ago that were in conflict, and the professor was like, okay, so if you were to give some suggestions to the prime minister of this country, what would you do? So we all broke out into groups, created a list of suggestions, made our cases ready. And then next thing we know, he turned off the lights. We were like, what is going on? And this man walks in with a spotlight, and it was the prime minister of that country in that year who just walked into the classroom. And we were like, whoa, okay. And we got to have a long conversation with him. So we presented our brief, and he actually listened to some of us saying, if I had this kind of information at that time, maybe I would have acted differently, but here is why I did what I did. Here is what it meant, all of these things. And I was like, this is so cool. One of the few places where you can just
like, I know for a fact I would have gotten chills if Narendra Modi just passed by in my college.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but you are speaking to them, criticizing what they did, also saying,
oh, cool. I know. It's really very cool. So what was your suggestion that you gave to the prime minister of that country at that time?
Again, because it's a class and like the specific, I can't reveal which country and all of that, just in case it's, like private, whatever. But I think the specific suggestion that I had given was around, when you are a leader of a country, everything that you say matters, but also everything that you do and show matters. So the kinds of photographs you take, for example, with the leader of another country actually says a lot. The whole idea of pictures speak 1,000 words. So just for example, one of the biggest reasons that we had thought there was a huge sense of conflict among the citizens was because all of the photos that were there at the time were showing them across from each other, looking really cold. Whereas when you think about when deals are made, usually it helps when your body language shows that you actually like the person, you sit next to them. You have that. So, it seems small, but it actually makes a huge difference. And he really appreciated that suggestion.
That's really cool. That's a really cool thing that you actually said. And that's actually true, your body language and the way you present yourself, it actually speaks a lot. And you being a psychology student, I'm so sure you would know about that more than anybody else.
Yes.
And so this was one thing. This was a really cool thing that happened. That's honestly really very cool. What is the second thing that happened that you were going to say?
The second thing is just thinking of, so for me as an artist and a performer, right? Not only was my college experience academic and friends, but a lot of it was performances. And what was really cool was Harvard for the first time started doing these essentially citizenship ceremonies, which are a huge deal, right? When somebody has lived and worked in a country, like a lot of students go abroad and sometimes they settle down there, and to become a citizen it takes 10 years, even in India. And so they actually invited me to be their chief guest singer, whatever, at their first ever citizenship ceremony. And that was really cool. And being able to perform for so many people and families for whom that was such a momentous occasion. And especially with all of this talk about immigration and all of these different things, it was really cool. So it was, also in front of like the president of the university and many diplomats and a lot of different people. So I thought that was really fun and cool. And it was a way of...
You get so many opportunities when you're in such a good institute. So that does mean that choosing a good institute is far more important than any other thing.
Yes, and also, even if you don't get into the institute that you really wanted, it's finding the opportunities in where you are that really matters. Because I can tell you, there are so many people who went to Harvard and did not take advantage of the opportunities. Right. So it's really what you make of it, what you make of your experience.
So yes, absolutely. Grabbing the opportunity at the right time, it really is very important. So I have a little personal question, okay? So I was going through your social media the other day and I was just, trying to figure out some questions, and I came across some photographs, where you were with, I don't remember his name, but I think so you started dating when you started dating at Harvard itself, right? So how did you two actually meet? Were you all in the same class, and like, how was it? Was it like those like complete movie style, like the DDLJ style, or like how is it?
Well, that's a great question. So my partner, his name is Steven. We will have been together 5 years this year, which is crazy. I know. Wow. We met my freshman year, in fact, my first week of college, and he's a senior. So we have a 4-year age difference, and which is why we didn't rush into a relationship, because you kind of want to get to know somebody, be friends. And in my opinion, it's actually interesting because I didn't date in school. I had crushes, which is totally normal and natural. For anybody watching, it's totally normal and natural to have crushes. It just depends on whether you act upon them or not. And for some people, dating in high school, they can handle. But I knew I wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle that in high school. So in college, I felt like I was. So we met then. It was definitely romantic in the sense that I didn't know for the longest time. I think he liked me for a while. I didn't realize until a while later. And our first date was 12 hours long. It was really fun. We just went bicycling. It was this whole thing. I'm actually putting up a video about that soon. So if y'all are interested, we have a part 1 of our little love story. But I think it's one of the things that people really underestimate is you do meet a lot of people in college, including potential life partners. Not to say that that should be your mission or aim in college, but a lot of people do meet that, right? And so I would say just be open to experience.
And taking it slow and being with the right person, I think so, is also very important. I really like the fact that, you took a decision of taking it slow rather than, just rushing into it. And that is probably why your foundation is very strong. So we come across so many people in our college. We should be really very selective whom we are giving our hearts to. As a girl to girl, I can definitely say that.
No, and also being very clear. I find a lot of girls, especially if it's their first relationship, they think, okay, this person likes me, I should just go into it. No. You have to be clear about what you want before going into a relationship. When we started dating, or we went on a couple of dates, I was very clear. I was like, this is important to me, and if this doesn't match up with you, please let me know, because I don't want to continue. Small things like I had a lot of close male friends. And that was really important to me. And I grew up with a brother, and some people get insecure and jealous. And so I said, if you're not okay with that, sorry, but this is not going to continue. For me, my career aspirations and my work was really important, and I was constantly traveling for that. And if that's something the other person couldn't handle, I was not okay with that. And so it's just knowing what you want, and being very clear about that, so that nobody takes you for a ride. And whatever your boundaries are, stating them very clearly, because
right. So making it clear, having a proper conversation with them, making it really transparent is very important, especially when you're in a very very immature age. You can say that is a period of time when you must be very careful. So to all the learners, please stay at home, stay safe, don't just give your heart to any random person. Go slow and be with the right people. That's how you create a strong foundation. So would you like to tell the learners just one message? If you have to tell the learners just one message, what would that message be?
Don't let anybody tell you you're too young to do something. One of my favorite quotes is that, because a baby shark is still a shark. A lot of people think, I'm only 15, 16, what can I do? Let me tell you that 15, 16-year-olds are half of the reason that our pandemic today is being reduced in our country. There are amazing people all across the world, all across the country, who are sharing and using their platforms, who are checking on resources, connecting people with things, and you have the ability to do whatever you want to do. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't. Please, I'm sure there might be some parents watching this. If you feel like your child has potential, please support them in whatever that might be, even if that doesn't agree with what you might have taught for them. Because it's really important for somebody to feel like they are going down a path that they care about, and not something that your Ferdowsi's Malsi has said that they have to. It should feel like it's your journey and your path.
Absolutely. So how did your parents, when you were away for such a long period of time, how did your parents actually support you? Did they send those little flowers and little, those homemade cookies and all of that? Homemade, not even cookies, I can say, like homemade achar, homemade theplas and all, how we have it in India. So did your parents do those little small things? Did your parents do that?
Definitely. We definitely send care packages. We would stay in touch, we would try to touch base, even if we couldn't speak on the phone every day as we message. And it's just, honestly, it's not just about the things, right? Those feel really nice when you feel homesick, to have a little piece of that comfort. But it's also about just knowing that somebody is always there for you. And they always made themselves, even when I was in school and we lived in the same house, that they were always emotionally available. And I think that, knowing that for me was a huge thing. That I could go to them with anything that I wanted to, and they would understand my emotions and respect them.
Right. So you even trusted your parents. In fact, you knew for a fact that, your parents have gone through a lot and they'll only want the best for you. So you chose to actually confide in them. So that's like a really very good thing. Students at this age, you're all going through such a difficult time. We must confide in our parents. I do that, even though I'm like old enough. You're also old enough. You're older to me. And if she learn as if she can do it, trust me, you're still young. Don't just be rebellious to your parents. Listen to your parents. They always want what is the best for you. So Miss Avanti Nagral, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that this entire session was I love this session, honestly. I love this session because I knew you, and now I actually know you. So it's really nice knowing you, and your journey has been commendable. You took all the opportunities, and it was not just the opportunities. I don't think you were lucky. I just, in the beginning you said that probably it was luck. I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that, you were lucky. I really feel that, you acted on all the opportunities that you got, and you made 100%. You put in 100% into it, and that is how you became who you are today. So you are somebody I'm sure that the learners will definitely look up to.
In fact, the thing that you said about luck, some of you may have seen this, or this, funny enough, might be a movie beyond some of your time. Vruddhi, have you seen the film The Incredibles?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay, but it's a movie that was like really popular when we were in middle and high school, and they had like another version. Anyway, there's this character in it. Her name is Edna, if anybody's seen it, and she talks about, she says this one line where she says, "Luck favors the prepared," and that's something that I live by. Right there, luck does play a huge role. It's like right time, right place, but that is not in your control. Outcomes are never in your control. What is in your control is the hard work you put in, the effort you put in, and the research and the opportunity seeking that you do. So I completely agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Complaining is never a solution. I've seen so many people, even during the pandemic, they're making the most out of it. You, in fact, even you like I think so in the pandemic only you became a very well-known content creator as well. You started your journey as a content creator. So acting on the opportunities that you get, some point or the other, definitely we all get opportunities. So acting upon it, as you just said, is really very important.
And also, I just want to say to all the learners, you already know Ms. Vruddhi, but she is very inspiring to me as well. It is amazing to see what she is doing, what the whole team here is doing. So I hope you're having a wonderful time with her.
Thank you so much for such sweet words. It really means a lot. Yeah, so with this, we end the session. Thank you so much for attending, guys. And I'm going to see you in the next video with many more such wonderful speakers, just like Miss Avanti out here. And they're going to definitely share the insights and going to inspire you. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe the video, hit the bell icon, and do check Miss Avanti out. Do check her out. So with this, we come to an end of the session of the Youth Talks with Miss Avanti Nagral. I really hope, guys, that this session was very insightful, very useful, and I really hope that it inspired you to actually do what you love. So if you'll have any more queries, if you'll have any more doubts, please feel free to put in the comment section below, and we'll make sure that they are answered. Apart from that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Follow me on the Unacademy app. My ID is Vruddhi ma'am, and make sure that you use the code VDLife10 for all your Plus subscriptions and for all your Unacademy purchases, and even to watch the free sessions. Don't forget, guys, my code is VDLife10. I am going to bring to you many more such insightful sessions, many more such insightful conversations. So make sure that you stay tuned, and make sure that you share it with your friends and your family as well. I'm going to see you in the next episode with many more such insightful conversations. So until then, bye everybody. Take care, stay safe, stay at home, and a very hearty sayonara. Goodbye everybody.